May 17, 2047. The air in the deepest uncharted sectors of the Mato Grosso Plateau hung heavy, humid, and utterly silent, save for the oppressive drone of unseen insects. Dr. Amelia Thorne, an independent ethnobotanist and explorer, adjusted her satellite earpiece, the static a constant companion in this remote corner of the Amazon. For weeks her small, self-funded expedition had pushed beyond the known boundaries, following fragmented indigenous maps and tantalizing whispers of unique flora. Whispers that inadvertently led her to something far more profound. This afternoon, her lead scout, a seasoned local guide named Tupi, had stopped dead, pointing to a cluster of ancient, moss-covered rocks almost entirely swallowed by the dense jungle. It wasn't the natural formation that caught Amelia's eye, but the faint, almost imperceptible gleam of something metallic nestled within a crevice. With trembling hands, she carefully extracted it, a small, leather-bound journal, its pages brittle with age, clearly British, and bearing the distinctive embossed initials P.H.F. Percy Harrison Fawcett. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was impossible. Fawcett had vanished in 1925, hundreds of miles from this location. As she carefully opened the journal, a gust of unseasonably cold wind swept through the humid canopy, rustling the leaves with a sound like dry, whispering voices. The first visible entry, dated April 20th, 1925, was barely legible, scrawled in faded ink. The forest breathes. It watches. It leads us where it wills. Amelia's satellite phone, usually robust, abruptly shrieked with a high-pitched whine, then died. From the oppressive silence of the jungle around them, a new sound emerged, distinct and unnerving, a faint, low moan, resonating not from any creature, but from the very trees themselves, a sound of ancient, boundless disapproval. Tupi let out a guttural cry, his eyes wide with a primal fear Amelia had never seen in him, before he turned and bolted into the emerald gloom, abandoning their meticulously planned expedition without a single backward glance. The disappearance of Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett in 1925 remains one of the greatest, most enduring mysteries of the age of exploration. Born in 1867, Fawcett was a distinguished British artillery officer, archaeologist and cartographer who had undertaken 7 previous expeditions to South America. He was a man of extraordinary resilience, discipline, and almost monomaniacal determination, known for his meticulous planning and his ability to survive the harshest conditions the Amazon could throw at him. His obsession, fueled by a 1753 document known as Manuscript 512, found in the National Library of Rio de Janeiro, was the legendary lost city of Z. A sophisticated ancient civilization he believed lay hidden deep within the impenetrable jungles of Mato Grosso, Brazil. This city, which some later speculated to be the mythical Acacor, would redefine the understanding of pre-Columbian South American history. The Amazon basin in the early 20th century was a vast, largely unmapped wilderness, a true green hell. It was a land of staggering biodiversity, but also of unparalleled dangers: venomous snakes, predatory jaguars, malaria, yellow fever, dysentery, and the ever-present threat of starvation or hostile indigenous tribes, many of whom had never encountered outsiders. Expeditions often faced incredible hardships with high mortality rates. Fawcett himself had survived previous close calls, including brushes with piranhas, anacondas, and tribes known for their ferocity. His final expedition in April 1925, funded by a consortium of British financiers, was modest in size, consisting only of Fawcett, his eldest son Jack Fawcett, and Raleigh Rymel, a longtime friend of Jack's. Their goal was to penetrate deeper into the Xingu River region of Mato Grosso than any previous European explorer, reaching a landmark known as Dead Horse Camp before vanishing into the unknown. Their last known communication, a letter sent from Dead Horse Camp on May 29, 1925, described their intention to push onward, expressing optimism despite dwindling supplies. After that, silence. Numerous subsequent search parties over the decades, some well-funded, others privately organized, all failed to find any trace of Fawcett or his companions, adding layers to the mystery and solidifying his legend as the lost explorer. The jungle, seemingly, had simply swallowed them whole. However, the Amazonian jungle is more than just a biological ecosystem. It is, in the cosmology of its indigenous peoples, a vast, living, sentient entity. Unlike Western anthropocentric views, many Amazonian tribes believe in a spiritual interconnectedness with nature, where every plant, animal, and rock possesses a spirit or plays a role in a complex, unseen world. While there isn't a single Amazonian forest spirit equivalent to a European Leishi, various tribes across the region possess beliefs in powerful, often ambiguous guardians of specific natural features or sacred sites. The Kayapo, for instance, speak of Boto river dolphins who can shapeshift, or Curupira, a forest creature with backward feet that confuses hunters. Other tribes, like the Yanomami, describe powerful Hekura spirits dwelling in the mountains and forests, which can be benevolent or malevolent, depending on human actions. More pertinently, across numerous Amazonian cultures, there exists a profound respect and fear of untouched primeval areas, places where the forest's original, untamed power resides, sometimes guarded by unseen entities. These are not necessarily malevolent in the human sense, but fiercely protective, acting as a natural immune system against intrusion and desecration. They don't engage in conventional combat. Their power lies in manipulation of perception, environment, and the human psyche. They can induce disorientation, make paths vanish, cause sudden, inexplicable illnesses, or even drive intruders to madness through psychological torment. The forest itself becomes a weapon, shifting, breathing, whispering, a vast, ancient consciousness that resents the encroachment of steel and maps. They are the guardian, an umbrella term for these myriad powerful entities that defend the Amazon's most sacred and pristine heartlands, ensuring that places like the mythical city of Z or Akakor remain hidden from those who would exploit or defile them. Fawcett, with his relentless drive to conquer and map, his very presence an act of colonial imposition, may have stumbled upon a spiritual barrier far more formidable than any natural obstacle or hostile tribe. Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett, his son Jack, and Raleigh Rymel embarked on their final, ill-fated expedition in April 1925. Fawcett's diary, miraculously preserved and later found by Dr. Amelia Thorne, began with characteristic optimism. April 20th, 1925, pushing deeper into the Mato Grosso, the air is thick with anticipation. Zieg awaits. Jack and Raleigh in good spirits, though the heat is oppressive. Early entries meticulously detailed their progress, precise astronomical readings, daily mileage, observations on flora and fauna. Fawcett, a skilled cartographer, was determined to map every inch of their advance. However, as they moved beyond Dead Horse Camp in late May, the journal's tone began to shift. May 30th, the jungle grows thicker than anything I have ever encountered. The light barely penetrates the canopy, Progress agonizingly slow. Our compasses have begun to behave erratically. The needles spin wildly near certain rock formations. Odd static on our rudimentary wireless, attributing it to magnetic anomalies in the soil. Raleigh Rymel, in a separate, much briefer, and less disciplined notebook entry, simply wrote, "Lost my bearings twice today. Fawcett says it's jungle fatigue, but the trees, they look different. They seem to move when I'm not looking." By early June, the sensory anomalies escalated. June 5th, the sounds of the jungle are becoming unsettling, not merely the cries of birds or monkeys. I hear distinct whispers just at the edge of hearing, like 1,000 voices. Sometimes they sound like Jack's mother calling to him. Other times, like the mocking laughter of unseen natives. Attributing it to dehydration and the oppressive humidity, playing tricks on the mind. Jack Fawcett, a young man whose spirit was initially unburdened by his father's scientific rigidity, recorded in his personal letters, often left at resupply points. "Dear Mother, the jungle is beautiful, but it changes. The paths we clear vanish overnight. We wake to find our camp surrounded by impassable thickets where there was clear ground just hours before. Father says it's the rapidity of growth here, but it feels deliberate. And the cold, at night, pockets of air, truly frigid, drift through the camp, bringing with them a scent like damp earth and something ancient. It smells of stone." The first direct encounter, though subtle, was described in Fawcett's entry for June 12th. "We found our last 2 porters missing this morning. No sign of struggle, no tracks. Simply gone. Rimmel is agitated. He claims to have seen a tall, thin figure, like a shadow among the trees, its form shifting. He calls them the shadow people of the forest. Nonsense. Likely a tribal scout, though their stealth is remarkable. However, a chilling annotation in the margins, clearly added later in a shakier hand, read, 'Not men, not human.' As weeks turned into months and their supplies dwindled, the psychological toll became immense. The expedition's route, meticulously plotted by Fawcett, seemed to defy logic. They circled back on themselves repeatedly, despite Fawcett's renowned navigational skills. July 1st, we have returned to the same clearing 3 times in 2 days. It defies all cartography. The sun seems to move differently here. Our chronometers are wildly inaccurate. It is as if time itself has become fluid." Rimmel's journal, now more erratic, detailed profound disorientation. "I can't tell up from down the tree. They watch. Their eyes are the shadows. They whisper to me of other paths of secrets. I feel them touching my mind. They want me to forget." The guardians began to manifest more overtly, though still playing on perception. July 15th. Jack insists he saw a colossal tree, larger than any living thing, open its trunk and reveal a passage, a glowing path. When I looked, it was merely an ordinary tree. My son's mind is beginning to bend under the strain. The forest is attacking our sanity, not our bodies. Yet even Fawcett, the unyielding rationalist, was forced to concede to the increasing strangeness. July 20th, I heard it, a sound from the very ground, a low, resonating hum that vibrated in my teeth. It was followed by a cacophony of animal calls, perfectly mimicked, but somehow wrong, too precise, too numerous, as if every creature in the jungle had gathered to mock us. And then a voice, my own voice, calling my name from deep within the foliage. A trick. But an effective one. He also recorded increasingly vivid nightmares. I dream of being rooted to the earth, my skin turning to bark, my limbs becoming branches, my eyes replaced by knotholes, eternally watching, eternally silent. By August, their rations were dangerously low. Fawcett, typically stoic, noted a growing internal despair. August 5th. Rimmel is fading. He spends hours staring into the canopy, muttering about the green. Jack tries to comfort him, but his own eyes betray a dawning madness. I feel it too, this subtle, insidious invasion of the mind. The forest seems to be closing in, not just physically, but psychologically. It promises us the city of Z, whispers its location, only to shift it, to tease us, to lead us ever deeper into its embrace. The sweet, metallic scent, first noted subtly, became pervasive, almost cloying. The climax of their descent was recorded in the very last legible entry of Fawcett's diary, dated August 10th, 1925, before the script became an unintelligible scrawl of frantic lines and desperate symbols. August 10th. We are at the precipice. The city of Z. I see its glimmer. It is not stone. It is light. And the guardians, they are here. They are not animals, not men. They are of the forest. They appear as shifting patterns in the leaves, as fleeting glances in the sun-dappled shadows. They whisper, not with voices, but directly into the mind, promises of eternal knowledge, of belonging if only we surrender. Rimmel is gone. He walked towards the shimmering light, his face serene, his steps almost eager. Jack! My brave Jack! He struggles, he fights the pull. But the trees, they are reaching for him. I feel them. They want to absorb us, to make us part of this eternal watchful silence. They are not barbaric, but ancient. They seek not to kill, but to incorporate. My compass, D, it points only to the light, the humming. It is inside me now. I see the truth. The city is not built on the forest. It is the forest. And we shall become its new stone. The final lines were a desperate, barely coherent jumble of Latin and archaic Portuguese, ending with a single, chilling word: forever. The subsequent pages of the journal were a chaotic mess of ink blots and scratches, concluding abruptly, as if the pen had simply fallen from a frozen hand. The discovery of Percy Fawcett's journal fragment by Dr. Amelia Thorne in 2047, far from the established search areas, ignited a firestorm of academic and public debate. While mainstream historians dismissed it as an elaborate hoax or a misidentification, its uncanny specificity, the unique blend of Fawcett's known personality with elements of profound psychological breakdown, compelled a different kind of inquiry. Dr. Thorne, herself shaken by the immediate supernatural events upon finding the journal, sought the expertise of Dr. Mateo Vargas, a reclusive but renowned ethnographer and expert on Amazonian tribal cosmologies at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Dr. Vargas had spent decades living among isolated tribes in the very region where Fawcett vanished, meticulously documenting their oral traditions and spiritual beliefs, often dismissed as mere superstition by Western academia. Dr. Vargas, after meticulously studying the journal entries and listening to Dr. Thorne's recorded anomalies, including the high-pitched drone that killed her satellite phone and the faint moaning sounds captured by her ambient recorders, offered a chilling yet profoundly coherent analysis. Colonel Fawcett, in his arrogance, in his insatiable drive to conquer and discover the unknown, directly violated a sacred boundary, Dr. Vargas asserted, his voice deep and resonant. The Amazon is not a wilderness to be tamed, nor a resource to be exploited. It is a living, breathing entity with its own consciousness and its own formidable guardians. He dismissed the idea of traditional hostile tribes as the cause of Fawcett's disappearance. No tribe would leave such ambiguous traces, nor would their methods align with the psychological manipulation Fawcett describes. This was a force far older, far more subtle. Dr. Vargas explained the concept of the Jurupari or Kaitara, terms that in different dialects refer to powerful, often malevolent forest spirits or primordial beings. However, he clarified, these are not evil in the human sense, they are protectors. They preserve the primal purity of certain sacred areas, places where the veil between worlds is thin, where ancient knowledge resides. Fawcett's city of Z was not a physical city, Dr. Thorne. It was a metaphor. It was likely a spiritual nexus, a place of immense power where human constructs of reality break down. He posited that the shifting paths, the compass anomalies, the temporal distortions were all manifestations of the Jurupari's power to manipulate space-time and human perception, subtly altering the environment to confuse and disorient intruders. The whispers and mimicked voices were not hallucinations, but direct psychic assaults designed to erode sanity and lure the explorers deeper into their grasp. The guardians you speak of, as Fawcett described them, are not individual entities. They are facets of the forest's conscious collective defense mechanism. They are the spirit of the Amazon itself, rising to repel an alien presence. The cold spots were manifestations of their spiritual energy. The humming was the forest's ancient song, its vibrational frequency, impacting human electronics and minds. The most unsettling aspect, according to Dr. Vargas, was Fawcett's final entry. The description of the City of Light and the process of incorporation. The Jurupari do not kill in the way barbarians do. They absorb. They make intruders a part of the forest, binding their souls to its consciousness. Fawcett, his son, and Rimmel were not murdered. They were assimilated. Their essence, their knowledge, became part of the city, the living, breathing, ancient mind of the Amazon. They were transformed, becoming part of the very trees, the very soil they sought to conquer. Their eternal duty now is to serve as new guardians, new eyes for the forest they once tried to tame. Dr. Vargas warned Dr. Thorne that her discovery and the very act of studying the journal had now drawn the attention of these entities. The forest knows you are here, and it remembers. The discovery and analysis of Percy Fawcett's final journal entry, though largely dismissed by mainstream academia as an elaborate modern fabrication or a tragically delusional account, sent ripples through the world of paranormal research and indigenous studies. Dr. Amelia Thorne, forever changed by her encounter, abandoned her conventional ethnobotanical work. She became a reclusive yet prolific researcher of unexplained disappearances in wilderness areas, particularly those with strong indigenous spiritual traditions. She often reported vivid, recurring dreams of tangled roots and whispering leaves, and a persistent, faint scent of damp earth and blooming night flowers that clung to her, even in urban environments. Her satellite phone, the one that died on that fateful day, never worked again, its internal circuits irreparably fused, a silent testament to an unknown force. Dr. Mateo Vargas, already marginalized by his unconventional theories, found his academic career further ostracized. Yet, among indigenous communities and a small dedicated circle of esoteric researchers, he became a respected, almost revered figure, his warnings about the sentient forest and its guardians taken with utmost seriousness. He continues to advocate for the protection of uncontacted tribes and the preservation of sacred Amazonian sites, arguing that disturbing these ancient places invites not just ecological disaster, but metaphysical retaliation. Numerous search expeditions for Fawcett had been launched over the decades since 1925, many meeting with misfortune. Some disappeared without a trace, echoing Fawcett's own fate. Others returned with survivors plagued by inexplicable illnesses, psychological breakdowns, or harrowing tales of disorientation and unseen presences. These incidents were routinely dismissed as the inevitable dangers of the unforgiving Amazon, but to those who knew the truth, they were further evidence of the Guardian's watchful presence. The Brazilian government, likely influenced by early classified reports of strange occurrences, now maintains strict regulations and restricted zones in parts of the Mato Grosso, ostensibly for environmental protection or indigenous land rights, but which also serve to keep outsiders away from the truly anomalous areas. Fawcett's disappearance has become one of the foundational legends of modern exploration, widely known as the Lost City of Z mystery. But among local tribes in the deeper Amazon, and among the few researchers who dare to delve into its hidden realities, it has taken on a far more terrifying meaning. It is not merely the story of a man swallowed by the jungle, but of a soul absorbed, transformed, forever bound to the ancient living entity he sought to conquer. The area where Fawcett vanished is now known in hushed tones as the breathing forest, or the place where the trees remember. Locals report seeing fleeting, almost translucent figures moving silently through the dense foliage, particularly at dawn and dusk. Tall, slender, vaguely humanoid shapes that seem to be part of the trees themselves. Their eyes glowing faintly, eternally vigilant. They are the new guardians, the transformed souls of those who dared to intrude, forever merged with the consciousness of the very jungle they sought to tame. Their whispers are carried on the wind, a chilling echo of Fawcett's final, desperate realization. Forever. Thank you for joining, for this exploration of how the relentless ambition of colonial exploration may have met its terrifying match in the ancient, living heart of the Amazon. The story of Percy Fawcett and the Guardians of Akakor serves as a profound reminder that some places on Earth are not merely wild but sentient, possessed of an ancient consciousness that demands respect and exacts a terrible toll on those who seek to dominate it. It forces us to confront the terrifying limits of human understanding and the chilling possibility that certain landscapes are not just passive backdrops to our history, but active, conscious participants in their own defense, capable of absorbing and transforming those who dare to trespass. Fawcett's fate is a dark testament to the arrogance of man against the primeval forces of nature. If you found this exploration into the shadows of history compelling, please consider liking this video, sharing it with those who appreciate the darker corners of our past, and subscribing to Dr. A Whisper of War for more journeys into the unexplained and the unsettling. Your comments and theories are always welcome below. Until next time, remember that in the deepest, greenest parts of our world, not all things that watch are alive in the way we understand them.